Welcome back to Marketing Champions. I'm Howard Walpuff, your host here on dailyadbrief.com. We're talking about marketing around the country with marketing experts who really are helping companies get their message out to an audience. And today we have Braun Scherl from Spark Solutions for Growth here with us for our conversation. So Rachel, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's great to be with you.
And thank you for joining us. You've been involved in marketing for a number of years and have really worked with some great companies. Why don't you tell us how you got involved with companies that focus on female products and services?
Sure. So I've spent my career building brands and businesses, both for myself and other people. I started my career after business school at Johnson & Johnson, and I mention that because those skills and those relationships have been fundamental to everything that I've done since. So worked in brand management, went into strategy consulting, always focused on generating top-line growth. How do you get people to engage in a transaction? How do you get them to buy what you're selling? What do you have to offer? What do you need to communicate? Through what vehicles do you have to make your product available? So I call it very pragmatic strategy. A bunch of years ago, a venture capitalist presented me with a business plan for a company that had a product that improved arousal, desire, and satisfaction for women, which at the time was literally the perfect storm for marketing. There were no products that had clinical evidence, or at that point, there had been 35 active clinical programs down to 2. There was no language for it because people didn't have the words to talk about. And when you went online at that point, at one end was porn, the other end was, some body parts falling off, was disease. So built that company with a business partner. We exited in 2013. At that point, we were in 2,000 Walmarts. And during that process, with the focus on arousal, desire, and satisfaction, I became a vagipreneur, a person focused on the business of sexual and reproductive health. So for the past many, many years, I work with companies, large and small, who are providing products and services in the wide landscape from menstruation to menopause. So essentially the entire range of a woman's sexual and reproductive life. So that could be subscription menstrual pad products. It could be menstrual panties. It could be incontinence. It could be fertility. It could be infertility. It could be disease prevention. It could be hot flashes. So literally, there are so many challenges and changes that women experience over the course of their lives, and the companies that I work with are looking to, importantly, create solutions. And one of the main places where I come in is creating the conversation so there is a language to have these discussions.
With all these different aspects of a woman's life and their needs, it gives you as a marketer a great opportunity to be creative and to really have an opportunity to work on so many different aspects, but also your specialization with the language really has made you stand out in that industry, especially getting that wonderful start that you've had. What really stands out as some of the great marketing accomplishments that you've experienced with these companies?
I'll go back to the first women's health company I ran, and we had gone to 100 different media outlets, whether it was cable, network, website, radio. And 95% of them said, no, we won't take your ads, meaning we know you have money. We're not going to take it because we're not comfortable in this space. So we had quite a big headwind in our face. And so we said, well, if we can't buy media, we're going to earn it. And through a process, we found a PR communications partner who said, you know what, we also think that's a story. So when we launched that campaign, I happened to be on a Tuesday, the article came out in the New York Times on the disparity between men and women's advertising, or advertising spend behind products for male and female sexuality. The next day, the product was featured on The View and Good Morning America. And the following week, my business partner and co-founder did an 8-minute segment on ABC News. So it was what so many companies in the space have. I call it the fighting City Hall moment. So if we can't beat them, join them. So there's a lot of restrictions that Facebook and other social channels still have. all these years later, and many businesses spend at least some part of their money to create their Fighting City Hall moment. So, there's a business right now who's fighting the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, which is the governing body for subway advertising in New York City. It would be much better to be able to spend that money on advertising in the subway in New York City. But because this is a category that, and this is a global statement, culturally, people tend to be uncomfortable with for a variety of reasons, whether it's their background, their culture, their religion, lack of education, whatever it is, we have to find moments to catalyze these conversations. So that was the starting point. That was our moment. And since then, even though it started as a business strategy, I've been incredibly active and vocal about creating the language to discuss solutions. Because how can a woman or a person who identifies as a woman find a solution for a symptom she might be having if she can't even figure out how to talk about it?
That is such a great learning experience, what you went through from the beginning, and being thrust into such a really whirlwind of experience right there in different mediums, to then have that as a learning point to share with all these other companies. No wonder you're the expert that people seek out to get their products out there and their message across. So we thank you so much for sharing that information with us, and there's so much more that you have to offer. You're absolutely the right resource for these companies. So thank you so much for coming with us today.
Well, thank you so much. And what I'm happy to say at this point in this space, that there's been just literally a firestorm. There's huge momentum in this space now. Hopefully I've played some small part in it. There are companies, there are finances, there are exits, there are liquidity events. Even in this year, female sexual and reproductive health has raised over $1 billion since the beginning of the year. So that represents a total sea change. So the wind's now at our back, which is really exciting.
Well, that's outstanding. And thank you so much for that, for fighting that fight and for sharing that with us and for being with us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
And thank you all for joining us today as well. Such amazing experience. It's wonderful when we get the types of marketers that have these amazing experiences and this wealth of knowledge that they've gained from it, that they're sharing with their clients. And it's all accessible to you because they're sharing with you here. There's more information about Spark Solutions for Growth on dailyadbrief.com. But go out, have a great rest of the day today, and we'll see you next time on Marketing Champions.